We're here with Mayor Christopher Cabaldon here in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest. Mayor Cabaldon is from West Sacramento, California. What brings you to South by?
I like coming here to mix it up and hang out and collide with people I would never see back home at City Hall. You know, creatives, filmmakers, artists, innovators, startups, entrepreneurs who just like challenge my thinking, and also I'm learning about trends and things that are happening in the rest of the country. It's fantastic.
All right, and you're speaking today or tomorrow, is it, on civic engagement?
Yeah, I have kind of a heretical session tomorrow on, it's called Swiping Left on Civic Engagement, and it's basically about why the traditional ways that we do civic engagement, public hearings, community workshops, and that sort of thing, are actually harmful to democracy and to equity and to outcomes and to trust in government, and how we might look to not just technology, but just different ways of engaging people that are more about where they're at as opposed to where government is to try to solve that problem.
And I'm going to read a quote now because this is the kind of quote about a mayor that you want to get absolutely right. The Sacramento Bee said, under his leadership, the city has become one of the municipal stars of the region. What have you been doing right, and what is making West Sacramento improving and under your leadership?
Well, I've been mayor for a really long time, like 18 years. And when I first got elected, West Sacramento was the other side of the tracks, the place that your mom says don't go after dark and preferably don't go before dark. People didn't put West Sacramento as their return address on their envelopes. I mean, it was just, we were a place of like a lot of poverty, an old working class industrial area, a lot of despair. And what we have built from that is a place that takes advantage of our assets, but also trying to just change the psychology of the people around what's possible. And so we've been getting win after win after win after win. We're right at the center of the region. So we've always should have been a place where, you know, cool urban stuff was happening, but it never did. And so we started to do a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. It wasn't one of these places where let's like gentrify in 1 minute, but instead, how do we build on the assets that we already have and the people and the neighborhood and the diversity and the quirkiness and the craziness and make something that's different but still cool. And that's working. I mean, we're now one of the top cities in the region with all the same people. We didn't bulldoze any neighborhoods, we didn't do anything. We just got better at our game, and we keep pushing ourselves to go further and further and further.
And, you know, one of the things that I've noticed that you're known for is education, and you've been able to do some other things that other cities only dream about, whether it's universal pre-K, tuition-free community college, high school workforce training. Could you tell me a little bit about how you made all those things happen, what kind of community input that takes, what kind of support, and what the outcomes have been?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. In November, our voters approved a ballot initiative that provided some of the core funding, the anchor funding, for what I think is the most audacious education, kids, workforce initiative in the country. So it is, we connect every single 4-year-old to preschool. Every single kid entering kindergarten from preschool is going to get a college savings account open in their name with some money in it. When they get in high school, they're going to get guaranteed a paid internship that matches up with the college and career pathway that they're in, and they're going to get free community college and a scholarship based on digital badges that they earn doing volunteer work and other kinds of learning in the community that's outside of school. It's pretty cool for a city that's not that big and certainly not that wealthy, but we've been building the pieces a little at a time, and the people in my city, I think because we weren't the richest place ever, they're just hungry. They're like, okay, let's try that. Let's give that a shot. I don't have any kids in preschool, but I'm going to vote for that because you know, our community has been doing amazing things. Let's try one more. And so building on that legacy and then connecting with partners who are crazy too, and kind of letting go of things that don't work or require too much process. Just to give, we're trying to be a little bit more like the startups that we see around here, a little more iterative in our work. Let's just get out there and start preschool. And we'll learn about it as we're doing it, rather than do a 5-year planning process with 16 task forces and you know, a collaborative with 16 other agencies. Let's just go out and start doing it, and we'll learn as we're going. And we found that that's been effective, not just in that domain, but like urban farms or creating brewery districts. In everything that we're doing, rethinking the way the government works to be more like a lean startup and less like a bureaucracy.
And I know in another area that West Sacramento has been doing a lot of work has been smart city infrastructure. Could you talk about some of your efforts around that?
Yeah, so we're really new in this area, but we're learning from some of the great cities. It's one of the reasons why like being here. We can hear from Louisville and Kansas City and Chicago and Pittsburgh and so many other places around the country that are already doing this at some sort of scale. So we're making smaller investments in smart city infrastructure, in roads and parks. I'm also really interested in doing this in the civic engagement space, using beacons as one way to be able to allow citizens to provide casual, frequent input and feedback on very conceptual level, feeling kind of things that around their community without having to come to a public hearing and testify about zoning. But instead, just while you're around, with the beacons that are triggered and the sensors that are triggered in our variety of our trash cans and transit stops and elsewhere, to be able to provide quick casual feedback that's low stakes, but if we collect enough of it, we're getting a better sense of how people really are feeling about their city in the city and not inside of our council chambers for 6 hours in a public hearing.
That's pretty exciting stuff. That's interesting. Is there anything you're hoping, if you can come away with one thing, or maybe even just an act you want to see while you're here in Austin? What would that be?
Well, actually, since I'm doing this presentation on re-envisioning civic engagement, I'm hoping that I'm going to get some ideas, some connections here from folks who want to develop out some of the applications using the smart city infrastructure in order to bring that to life. And I'm hoping to hear from artists and entrepreneurs and others say, you're crazy, you've got this part totally wrong, Mayor. You've never looked at it from this perspective. And so this emerging idea that you're curating in your own town, it's cool, but you've got this part, this part, this part, this part, this part wrong. And what I really find great about this kind of festival is that you're completely challenged about what you take for granted just coming from City Hall. So even on the stuff that I feel really strongly about and that we're really trying to work hard on, I'm hoping to learn while we're here.
Well, thank you, Mayor. This has been great, and it's impressive all the work you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.